Wise. I'm an ASO senator and also a student at the University of Oregon. Last year, during the student election debates, the first question that was asked to me was, what is the biggest problem facing students today? I shot my hand up as fast as I could and I said, the cost of higher education. The problem is simple. Tuition is going up faster than the aid is. We have students here that can barely afford their books in class, books for class, and sometimes have to decide between their next meal and their education. This is in no way fair. I believe students should be given a fair opportunity and a fair shot to attend college and get a degree that will adequately contribute to the society. Personally speaking, last year was rough for me. For the better part of the year, I had to sleep on a couch to afford college. It was difficult to keep up with the rent, and I often saw my bank account balance with less than $5 in it. This is not a joke at all. This is because I was putting my hard-earned money towards my education through buying books and paying for tuition. And even though I prioritized my education, it was hard to focus on grades when I had to also try to figure out how to pay for my expenses, continue living in Eugene, and also go to school. I want to do work well here at the University of Oregon, work that my parents are proud of, and work that you all are proud of. And I want that same fair opportunity to be given to the students here at the University of Oregon, but also students in the state of Oregon abroad, and the students that go here. My concern is that 30% of the formula that the Oregon Education Investment Board Education Fund Team recommended to fund community colleges and universities is based on the number of certificates, bachelor degrees, and advanced degrees that a school can get. If anything, a state should be finding ways to support schools that have achievement gaps and don't have the resources necessary to achieve those goals. There are schools around the nation trying to repeal policies like this, and I have to ask, why does this feel like parts of the No Child Left Behind Act? To suggest an incentive based on achievement is not giving credit to the faculty members that stay on campus after hours to figure out how to best deliver their lessons. Professors are trying their best, and they wouldn't be here if they didn't have a heart for education. As a son of a teaching assistant, I'm disappointed that the Oregon Education Investment Board has not recommended reinstating our general operation budgets. Specifically, I'm concerned that this budget suggests funding special degree programs instead of retaining our needed full-time faculty positions, academic advisors, or financial aid advisors. And what about, and what are you going to do about the students that can barely afford college already? When it comes to find out, they get less support because their schools don't have enough resources, or they're not achieving what they need to get the additional funds. My concern is that this disproportionately affects students of color and low-income students. These students, I believe, may need that additional support. I can't and won't let this stand, and I can't let this happen without saying anything or doing anything about it. And now that I know that you may not all identify with my issues or the issues of students today, but I also know that you can do something about it, and that's why I'm here. So here I am. My name is Lamar Wise. I'm an ASO senator, a very concerned student, and I'm asking you to please fight with me to reprioritize education and to reinstate our general operating budgets. And I promise in the end it will all be worth it for all Oregon students in the future. Thank you very much.
Terry Wojtek, Austin Miller, and Bonnie Gosler.
Hi, my name is Terry Wojtek, and I work with the Bethel School District. I'm a school counselor. I've been a counselor for going on my 16th year. And I'm wondering how it is that although professional school counselors have specialized training to address the specific goals of this initiative, that we have not been named as contributors contributors to its implementation. We want to be recognized and included in the conversations. I have some examples. I don't have specific statistics. I just found out about this meeting 2 days ago. For example, there were some students at our school, I work in a K-8 school, some 4th grade students that did not pass the Oaks reading test, about 19 students. And so I met with them and we went over testing strategies and discussed why they thought they didn't pass. And I think if I remember correctly, all but one passed the state Oaks test, their second round. I also meet with students individually to discuss those testing strategies. I run small groups during lunch periods on several different topics, including study skills, family groups, for students who come from divorced families, grief groups, self-esteem groups, friendship groups. I meet with students individually for those same things. I go into the classroom and I teach all students about problem solving and managing feelings, among some of those things. And we discuss career goals and bullying prevention. I'm the resource, the counselor is the resource for families, connect families with resources in the district and in the community. All these things contribute to the success of our students and the goals of your initiative. Because professional school counselors are trained to do the following: engage and support families and students, bridge transitions, develop goals for college and career readiness, strengthen Oregon diploma's attainment through a focus on students' academic, career, and personal social development, and equip students with essential skills for global success. How will professional school counselors be recognized and funded through this initiative?
Hello, my name is Austin Miller. I'm a senior at Scioto High School in Scioto, Oregon. I'm currently serving as the Scioto FFA chapter president, as well as the Upper Willamette District FFA president. I wear my blue jacket tonight to show my love for agricultural education. Times are tough, and we all know that, and money is scarce. However, I believe that money well spent is in agricultural education for students as well as community. In agricultural education, there is a 3-part integral system. The first part of that 3-part system being classroom instruction. That is the agricultural curriculum that we receive at our local high school, as well as many members receive at their schools all throughout the state. Classroom instruction consists of our amazing teacher, Mr. Boneberg, teaching us about anything from tractor driving, to plant science, to animal science, to soil sciences. All these things are preparing us, members, us students, to go in and achieve that goal of 40-40-20. By being interested in these sorts of studies and these trades that aren't traditional to your reading, writing, and science, however, all have a part in that, it prepares us to go into those schools where it's a trade school, community colleges, which is an essential part to the 40-40-20 goal. Classroom instruction ties right into the supervised agricultural experience part of our 3-part system. The supervised agricultural experience, or SAE, is each individual student's project outside of school that prepares them for the real world. My supervised agricultural experience is in the Department of Agricultural Education. I've enjoyed teaching anyone from elementary school students to older adults about the importance of agriculture and agricultural education. Coming from a farming community, some things I just take for granted, but I realize that others don't know that agriculture makes all the things that we take for granted possible. And my friend Bonnie will be talking about her supervised agricultural experience, as well as the last and final part of the 3-part articles. Thank you.
Like Austin said, my name is Bonnie Kiesler. I'm also a senior at Scioto High School, and I'm currently serving as the Scioto FFA Chapter Vice President and the Upper Willamette District Vice President. Much like Austin, my supervised agricultural experience is in agriculture education. I focus mainly on our school's agricultural literacy team. We go around to non-ag related community groups and then about a 15-minute presentation on why agriculture is important and the FFA along with it. We've also built in Aggie to go around to different fairs, like county fair and state fair actually, and educate general public about agriculture. And we recently added traveling around to different FFA chapters throughout the state to help them build up their own agriculture literacy team. And the supervised agriculture experience ring in that integral system ties right into the last one, which is the FFA itself. In the FFA, we compete in career development events, which help prepare us for careers, just like it sounds, and also teaches us leadership skills. And leaders are just what the state and our world need. So it should come as no surprise to you that our organization's motto is premier leadership, personal growth, and career success. Thank you.
John Lockhart, Rita Callahan, and Kate Yellow-Wiles.
My name is John Lockhart. I'm an assistant professor of education at Pacific University here at the Eugene campus downtown. I came to speak today. First of all, I have appreciation for this nearly impossible task that you have ahead of you, so thank you for doing that. I wanted to speak because my first concern is that it seems to me that the real issue is that the legislature and the governor should be thinking about how to increase the revenue stream that comes to the state of Oregon. That seems to me to be probably the most important piece of discussion that needs to take place here. Trying to invest the few dollars that we have in the best way is only going to take away from existing programs and not address the real issue. My second concern is with regards to the notion of outcomes-based measurements and the accountability mindset. We are first and foremost human beings with thoughts, feelings, and interactions with other people. We are secondly reduced to statistics and measurement by the government and by schooling apparatuses that try to see us as fulfilling certain goals by measuring our progress. This drive to collect statistics is part of what was underlying the No Child Left Behind legislation and seems to also be an underlying factor in some of the OEIB's proposals and ways of thinking about the world. I noticed, for example, that there is reference to professional educators in the document, and at the same time there's a reduction of how the professional educators can use their professional judgment and how they are able to engage their students in their work, which becomes handicapped when they have to, for example, get all their students to get through Algebra 2 by the time they graduate or reach certain reading benchmarks, or the state focuses primarily on STEM, although I appreciated the STEAM reference earlier. In order to move away from an accountability mindset, this would require releasing some control over the curriculum. For example, one of the subjects that seems to never be mentioned by any OEIB documents is the social studies. What this means is that students aren't able to actually become more fully human by studying human conflict, both amongst each other, historically, and these are important things that matter in our state. This brings me to the issue of equity. Equity is a concern that certainly was noted, and I applaud the committee for making that one of its high priorities. I did teach science in East Portland before, and so as you can see, I'm a man of color. I also am not teaching in the classroom anymore. We could have a discussion about why that is later. But my major point here is that if we do not evaluate what our curriculum is, for example, some of you have probably seen the film Precious Knowledge, which has gained a lot of following nationally about the Mexican American Studies program in Tucson. That program had been shown to increase students' involvement in their schooling and improve outcomes for graduation, etc., meeting a lot of the goals that you have laid out here. Yet, to what extent is that going to be something that is going to be a part of the curriculum? So I guess I would say, but in way of closing, that we need to really think about if we want to create a truly equitable school system, to what extent do we actually take into account the social needs of people historically, currently, and as we move into the future, because that's really what matters.
the Bethel School District. And I will say, when I went to her classroom to meet her teacher for the first time, I was shocked to see she is 6 years old and has 36 children in her classroom. I was just amazed that is not only just normal for this year, but is normal across other districts and classrooms. Now, these are 6-year-old children who are still learning to properly tie their shoes, how to manage the pencil sharpener, to use a restroom at the appropriate time, and for 36 kids to be in that class is just shocking. Now, I do know my daughter's teacher is amazing, and I know this because I volunteer 2 days a week in the classroom. I would love to see more parents being involved in these classrooms. Perhaps some sort of incentivizing method to make parents aware, because 36 kids in a first grade classroom is not learner-centered. And I think we really need to focus on that, especially in the younger classrooms. I do want to point out one program that I want to speak highly of. My daughter did participate in the KIDS program. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. I can't remember some transition through OCP. And that program is amazing, and I would really like to see that implemented statewide. My daughter went to that. She went through it for the summer. It helped her learn reading skills, handling her emotions properly, and also there's a lot of parent involvement. There's a parent group that met every other week, and I think that's having parents involved and really focusing on preparing children for kindergarten and having low children to teacher ratio is very important. Thank you.
I'm Kate Miller-Wiles. I'm a special education teacher at Junction City High School. I've been there for over 20 years now. First, a little background. We're a fairly small district. We have about 500, sometimes 550 students in the high school. We have a very large special education proportionally. This is not because we are over-identifying students. It's because we have students moving in because their parents like what we do at Junction City. Every year I have parents telling me, we moved here because you have a good special education program and because the teachers at the high school are very supportive, all the teachers are very supportive of getting the kids through the regular classes as well as feeling that all the kids are part of the whole community. One of the things I saw in the summary I was sent via email about what you're planning to do is talking about block grants for special education funding. Is that still in the plans? So my real concern with that is the district next to us, same size as us, we have a higher proportion of kids because we have a really good program. We're going to get hurt. Our program is going to go downhill. The students' needs are not going to get met. Doesn't seem like a really fair way to treat students with special needs. Just because we have a good program and we get more kids, our funding is going to get lowered. It's like the kids are the ones that need the money. The money should go with the kids. I can't even wrap my brain around any other way to see that. The other part that tags on to that, tags on to all the community college concerns I've been hearing tonight, is that I work at the high school. My students mostly are going to now get modified diplomas due to the state mandate that they pass the math tests. They can get through the reading and the writing test. The math test is condemning most of my students to modified diplomas. That will be going, so their options now are community college. That, I don't know if the governor's aware of the 40-40-20 idea, that's being cut off to them also because of funding. They can't afford the tuition on their own. There is no more federal loans available for students with a modified diploma. They have, there's no funding in Oregon to help them. you're condemning a whole bunch of kids to just going straight to jobs that don't pay much. And these are kids who have the ability to be successful. They have huge interests: culinary arts, auto mechanics, two or 3 year programs would be perfect. They're not being made available now. Thanks for listening.
Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, my name is Tad Shannon. I'm a high school teacher here in Eugene, and I was recently elected president of the Eugene Education Association, which represents teachers in Eugene, District 4J, and the Bethel School District as well. I want to talk a little bit about my own personal experience with the Oregon education system since I moved here in 1991. I came here from the East Coast to take a job as a reporter here in Eugene, and part of what excited us, my wife and I and my young son, was the school system here in Eugene. One of the had a national reputation for innovation and creativity, language immersion schools, international baccalaureate programs, on and on. After spending about 8 years as a reporter here, I decided to go into teaching. I came to the University of Oregon, got my master's degree, and was hired at the school I did my student teaching in, a high school here in Eugene. And in the 13 years since that time, well, what we didn't know when we moved here in 1991 was that the year before, in 1990, something called Measure 5 had passed. And many people warned at the time that this would lead us down the path of California with Prop 13, and they were right. Funding in the state for our students has declined every year since that measure passed in most instances, certainly here in Eugene. And I think what's the most shocking thing about what has happened to what was such a flagship school district is the steady decline, and the fact also that people have almost become numb to it. Let me just mention a couple things. I have a daughter who's a junior in a high school here. She has 51 students in her pre-calculus class. Just down the hall, there's a classroom of calculus students with over 60 students in that class. We have kindergartens in this district in 4J that have as many as 32 students. The high school that I left last year to become president of the association had a 0.5 PE teacher for a 1,300 student high school. I think they may have added a partial PE teacher now. We haven't had librarians in the elementary schools here for probably a decade. We don't even have a full-time high school librarian in the 4 high schools that we have here in the 4J district. Our neighbors in Bethel, as the mother just recently mentioned, has elementary classes, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade classes of close to 40 students. So I guess what my sense is, and I think many of my colleagues' sense in Oregon, is that for all of the great talk about school reform and innovation and new ways of doing things, it really sort of rings like a fantasy if we are not willing or able to commit the resources that we need to provide adequate schooling for our kids. I never thought I would see the day in this country where I could say that my kids are not getting the education that I enjoyed when I was growing up 40 years ago. And it's shocking. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us this evening. I encourage you to fill out the top 10 list. And again, anytime you want to share thoughts, other ideas, please email us at education.investment@state.or.us. Thank you.